For every adventure, the podcast that dives deep into everything outdoor. Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of For Every Adventure, proudly brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse. If you're the type of person who likes the outdoors, likes to go on adventures, you're exactly where you need to be.
I'm Chanel, and this is the adventurer Kyle. In today's episode, we're going to chat everything hiking. So whether you're thinking about taking that very first hike or maybe preparing for a multi-day hike, we've got an expert for you. He's Tim Mostert, and he's going to be sharing all his info and stories with us today.
So stay tuned. For Every Adventure, the official Outdoor Warehouse podcast that brings you everything you need to know for your next adventure.
When last have you had a good hike?
Kyle, I'm a beginner. Okay, I'll classify myself as a beginner hiker. So not the world of experience, but I really enjoy the outdoors. So it's something that I'd like to get into more. And yourself?
I am a semi-professional walker. I haven't gone to the level of doing an actual hike. But first we need to classify exactly what a hike is. And I think Tim is going to give us the right answer. But I've walked far.
Is that like strolls down the beach front?
No. So here's my one and only hiking story.
Okay.
Right? So my wife and I went to Kirstenbosch. We took a nice walk/hike at Kirstenbosch, and I was full of vigor. You know, I had the backpack, not a lot in it. I should have had more in it, which I realize now. But
there's a backpack at least.
There's a backpack at least, and I had walking shoes.
Like trainers.
Yeah. So we get to Kirstenbosch, right? And got the backpack, got the water. We go on a trail, we choose one, and we head up the mountain. And I'm feeling good. I'm like, I thought I was not fit enough for this. I didn't know I could do this, and I'm real happy. So we go up the mountain, up, and my wife says, I think we should stop now. Like, we've gone far. And I'm like, hell no. I'm feeling proud of this. And we go further and further, and then eventually I'm like, okay, let's go back. Let's head back. And this is the point where I realize there is a heading back part of your hike. And I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going downhill, it's not going to be as bad as going up the stairs uphill. I was wrong. So that's maybe a very novice lesson to learn for me, but the walk back was a jelly-filled stumble. I think it's the best way to describe it.
I think you tend to forget about the downhill part.
You do.
The same happened to me. So I've tried Lion's Head, and I mean, it's terrible to say this. I'm a Cape Townian. I've been on Table Mountain, okay?
Don't let me get started on that.
We did that at school as like a field trip. I'm sure we probably did half of Table Mountain. But for the first time now, as a mom of two boys, I went on my own on this like Lion's Head to see if it's something that I could do with the boys.
So wait, you alone with the two boys?
No, without the boys. Just myself. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to check it out before I take them.
Okay.
Okay, so that's parenting. So
taking notes.
Yeah, take notes, Kyle. So went up this mountain with almost nothing, okay? Because, like, what do you really need? People do this all the time.
Oh, famous last words.
It's a hill, isn't it?
I just want to give the listeners a bit of a perspective. We've already got Tim in studio, and he's shaking his head. With every sentence you're saying, Tim is just going...
But Lion's Head, I mean, it's like it's a koppie. It's not really a mountain, is it? That's what I thought. Okay. So I took a jacket that I thought, I can just like put it around, like tie it around myself at some point.
Okay.
Because always scared of getting cold, number one. And then, always worried that one could get hangry, like hungry and angry.
And you don't want to be hangry on a mountain.
Yeah. So I got snacks, but no backpack and this like really heavy water bottle and my sneakers that I go to gym with. Like, what's the big deal?
We've got another head shake.
Yes.
Right.
So there she went up Lion's Head and enjoyed every second of it. Like, it was challenging, but just enough. But downhill, oh my goodness, Kyle. So same thing.
It's a thing, eh?
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And my story, it could have gone much worse than it actually did. But I slipped. I slipped, and it was at the worst place possible. There was this ledge. And luckily, this young girl, she was just there, I don't know, at the exact right spot at the right time. And she just like put her arm out and she stopped me from falling down. Yes.
Like Superwoman.
Yeah. Now I realized, no, okay, so you can't go with a smooth sole shoes onto Lion's Head, which is actually a mountain. So
how far did you fall before she stopped?
No, I didn't fall at all. I was just like sliding. She just put her arm out and she caught me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that probably, could have saved my life. So I won't do that again. And
yes. Thing is, you need to be prepared for a good hike.
Yes.
I mean, I just want to get back to something you mentioned, and that's the beauty part of the hike. It's such a mentally healthy experience for yourself. And it's good to push yourself physically as well, but you also get into nature and you sort of find yourself again within the peace of where you are. You know what I mean?
But also, it's important, Kyle. Like, you've got to kind of do a little bit of research. Like, you've got to know what you're getting yourself into.
But there's a few questions you need to ask yourself. Where are you going? And what essential items do you need for that specific destination? How much food and water will you need for this specific hike?
Yeah.
And what weather conditions or temperatures can you expect? And those are basic questions, but these are things people forget about. I forgot to think that far when it came to the hike. So just make sure you plan and you are prepared for it to be such an enriching experience.
And you know what? It's part of the adventure. What you pack and how you plan. I don't think you must see it as like a job to do beforehand. It's actually part of it.
It's part of it.
Creates excitement.
Exactly. And it's fun to get out there, especially when you're prepared, right? So if you want to go on a hike, it's very important to make sure you are prepared. It's essential. Now, the great thing is your closest outdoor warehouse has a checklist available for you. You can go pick it up and make sure you have everything you need.
It's fantastic.
Exactly.
It's got everything on here. You're going to be fine. Once you have this checklist, and
you'll be good.
You'll be sorted.
Yeah. If you can't get to your nearest outdoor warehouse before your next great fun hike, you can make a turn at outdoorwarehouse.co.za and just download that checklist for you. We have Tim Mostert, as mentioned a bit earlier, coming up. He's going to be our expert today.
Oh, thank goodness.
On the For Every Adventure podcast. And he's a hiking specialist. We'll introduce him a bit more in detail a bit later. For now, let's take a quick break, a word from the sponsors, and then we're back with our hiking specialist, Tim Mostert.
Get ready for another adventure with the best variety of gear and expert advice at Outdoor Warehouse. Save hundreds of rands with our winter bargains, including everything you need for hiking, 4x4ing, camping and cooking. You can also choose from our wide variety of tents, camp mattresses, mobile freezers, GPSs and trusted power solutions. Get it all at a price to make you smile. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure.
For Every Adventure podcast, bringing you all the tips and tricks for your next adventure.
All right, so we're chatting about hiking today. We discussed that fantastic hiking checklist you can get from Outdoor Warehouse, a multi-day hiking checklist as well. It gives you so much detail, how to pack a backpack, how to fit your pack, meal suggestions, everything you can get there, and you can download it from the website outdoorwarehouse.co.za. Now is the fun part. We get to introduce the actual specialist in the studio. His name is Tim Mostert. Tim, how are you?
I'm all right, and you?
Fantastic.
Welcome, Tim. And we're so glad to have you here because we've
very
got
much.
questions. Okay. But
Fire
firstly,
away.
let's just find out a little bit more about yourself. So you're with Outdoor Warehouse and you are the branch manager and specifically for the West Coast.
Yes, that's correct. West Coast branch.
Now, they call you a hiking specialist. So maybe my first question would be, how long have you been hiking? What makes you a hiking specialist?
How long have I been hiking and what makes me a hiking specialist? Two different questions. How long have I been hiking? Basically, all my life. I love doing multi-day hikes and your day hikes as well.
Okay.
And basically, I grew up in the Fishhook area, that side, and there's just mountains and hills, and you just got to get out there, It's before the internet, really, and you just had to go hike and walk. Friends and I would grab a backpack and we just go follow a river, and that's what we would do. I've been out in the wilderness quite a lot.
Okay. Wow. That's one way to grow up.
Yes, it was fantastic.
Okay.
And then what makes me a hiking specialist, I've had a lot of product training. I've spent time with suppliers. I've spent time with hikers who are more advanced than me. And, I listen to their stories and what advice they give. And I've just taken that all in. And we've done lots of training and tests as well and practicals. And I've passed all of that. And lots of knowledge.
I was wondering about this. I mean, do you learn more from just doing it yourself or from listening to other people's advice?
You definitely learn with more people.
Okay.
lots of experience. It's good to share the knowledge.
Yes.
So at the start of the episode, we were sharing stories of our own hikes, and that's where the question comes from. What's the difference between just a long walk and an actual day hike, like one day hike?
Well, a one-day hike, I would consider it something that's probably about 8 to 10 kilometers. A good long walk. Height can also affect that. How high you're going to go determines how long you're going to go.
Okay.
And then a nice short walk, something probably under 5 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've had a nice short walk once or twice. I'm okay with
Good,
that.
Carl. You're going to get there.
I'm going to get there. Well, I've got the help of Tim now. So let's jump in. What is important to take with you on a hike and why?
Oh, there's so much, but let's just start with maybe the basics. Say, for Lion's Head, for example. Lion's Head, you definitely need a warm jacket. It gets windy, and for Table Mountain, warm jacket is very important. I've made that mistake once and not taking warm clothes. I'll share that a little bit later if you want. And then definitely water bottle. Something, a hydration bladder, 2 liters minimum is what I take. Because you never know what can go wrong. And if you need extra water or if someone else needs extra water, you've got the water to share.
Okay.
Yeah. And then comfortable, good off-road hiking shoes or boots is definitely something I would say. And then lots of sunblock and glasses.
And specifically these items you've listed, have you ever been in a situation where you've had to use them, or in what way do they help you?
Well, in a situation where I wish I had a warm jacket or a waterproof rain jacket I was hiking on Table Mountain with my dad, and the weather changed very quickly.
Oh, really?
And all of a sudden it was rain and mist, and we couldn't see like maybe 3 meters in front of us was the furthest we could see. And now we're just following trails and we're missing markers and that. So we almost got lost. Luckily we had a map, had to take shelter for a bit. And I just had a cotton shirt on and a little warm, like lightweight fleece, but it wasn't waterproof and it's not wind resistant.
That's welcome to Cape Town, because you never know what's going to happen.
Never know. So it's like, it's true what they say, 4 seasons in one day, and that's what hit us. So yeah, definitely as a warm jacket you definitely need. I've had to use that.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson from there. Pack it in all the time.
Yeah.
So it's important to be properly equipped. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yes, very.
So from one-day hikes to a multi-day hike, is there a big difference in the way you plan for it, in the way you pack for it, or is it just more of the same?
No, it's vastly different.
Okay.
It's a lot more preparation, a lot more exercise, and it also depends on where you're going for your multi-day hike.
Destination, huh?
Yeah, destination and time of year, very, very important.
Okay.
If you're going to be doing the Fish River, it's going to be very different to, say, the Otter Trail.
Okay.
And different weight categories, different water requirements, and food-wise is also very, very different. So I would definitely say if you know you're going to be doing a hike in the next 6 months, you start prepping 6 months beforehand.
Wow.
Especially for people who haven't done it first time. You got to get a checklist. You got to go start researching. And I generally tell people they need to start researching their shoes first. Because a lot of the times with the different shoes, everybody's foot is different. And you got to find the right brand that fits you and the right type. Do you want a low cut shoe, or do you want a mid boot, or do you want a high boot? Depending on also how much you're carrying is important. And a lot of the hikes, they actually give you recommended weights on how much food you're actually going to be taking in gear. And they'll give you a little miniature checklist specifically targeted for that hike, multi-day hike.
All right.
And then you've also got to get the backpack. And that is building your back muscles, getting used to that and chafing and everything and breaking it in essentially. And then a sleeping bag, getting used to that.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot of planning going into it. I didn't imagine that that's everything you need to do, but it makes sense. I mean, a multi-day hike, you're at the mercy of the elements. Basically, you don't know what can happen. The weather can turn just like that. Something can go wrong. Have you ever had something drastically go wrong? Or have you found yourself in a situation where you felt, oof, this is a tough one, outside of the Table Mountain one?
Yeah, I've been on a camp in Krabo, and we were doing school camps and stuff, and we do a little 2-day overnight camp.
Okay.
And we're out there, and it's not far, but we didn't prep enough with the water, and our water spot that we thought was going to be there had suddenly, I would say, disappeared is the best word to describe. Okay. It was no longer flowing, and we were like, oh man. So we had to like start rationing our water, make sure that people were like kitted if they did have water and how much that they knew that they had. And we just had to be very, very careful. And we were lucky we were able to get a water drop in for us.
Wow.
Because things could have gone, it was hot or summer. And if you're on the second day of your hike, you need water. The guys are tired and they're dehydrated and
Relying on luck with that one.
And also, it's about planning for what could go wrong.
Yes, exactly. You need to be prepared for whatever happens. Yeah.
So you've done a lot of hiking. You're our hiking specialist. I'm saying our hiking specialist. We've claimed you now.
That's cool.
So your favorite entry-level hiking spot and maybe your favorite advanced level hiking spot?
Sure. Okay, so my favorite hiking spots is definitely Table Mountain, and there's a lot of the trails there. And my favorite one that I take there, I've done it so many times, like with my dad. We start off at the base of Table Mountain and we hike Pipe Track.
Yes.
And then there's different routes up there, and we go up Casteel's Port as our it's a longer one, but it's our easiest one. Then we go up, and then we just travel over Table Mountain, and we normally do it, we time it well when someone's had a birthday. Because they allow you to travel down for free on the cable car. And with my knees and my dad's knees, we hike up and then we're like, cool, cable car all the way down.
That helps.
Fantastic.
That'll help us as well, Kyle.
That's a great routine. You're going to get a lot of people going to the Table Mountain cable car saying, hey, so Tim said that if we do this.
Tim, would you say the Pipe Track is okay for kids?
Yes, Pipe Track is definitely okay for kids. It's a nice contour path heading on the base of the mountain. A bit of ups and downs. It does change a bit depending on the how much, if there was a fire in the area or heavy rainfall, but it's nice and flat. I hiked it probably about 6 weeks ago with my 2-year-old on my back.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and it's nice, and it's like it's a quick hike, depending on how far you want to go and stuff, but it's nice and easy, I would say.
And your toughest location for the more advanced hikers?
Oh, there's so many. The one that I've been in, which is quite tough, and you hear a lot of stories of it being really tough, is actually Cedarburg.
Okay.
And I did like a base camp hike where you stay in an area and then you do day hikes in and out from your base camp. And there, because you're in the middle of nowhere, there's no cell reception, very, very hot, and there's water is quite limited to the ravine areas and that. So it's good and wise to stay there. But it gets so hot there, and if you're not used to that heat, you get dehydrated very quickly, and people can get sick or they pass out very quickly.
So listen, this is the thing about a hike. You need to be prepared. It's going to be harsh out there. You could have a hard time. It's unpredictable, but the reward is just as big or bigger than the risks, right?
Yes.
I think that's why it's good to be so prepared, because you need to experience it as much as you can. Luckily, Tim, we have you to give us a few suggestions about the products that can be used. And I think today we're going to focus on a specific medical aid kit that you can take with you and a pair of boots that's really going to work well. So stay tuned to the For Every Adventure podcast. A quick word from the sponsors, and then we're back.
Gear up for the perfect adventure with the largest range of adventure gear in South Africa. You can find anything from tents, gazebos, cookware and mobile refrigeration to clothing, lighting and smart devices. Everything you need under one roof. Download our handy packing list online or browse our expert advice articles to get you ready for your next adventure. Outdoor Warehouse. For every adventure. Also buy online. Keep up with the latest in outdoor adventures with Outdoor Warehouse and the For Every Adventure podcast.
Tim, so it's clear we don't, we're beginners here, okay? And we now know it's important to take the right equipment on this hike. So maybe you can start off by telling us about that medical kit that you spoke about. How important is first aid on a hike?
It's very important. You never know what can go wrong. You get all types of thorns up there. You could fall and graze yourself, or you can cut yourself, fall and break an arm, or get your ankle stuck. So very, very important just to have a basic first aid kit. And we do supply those as well. And there's variations in that. But for hiking one, you need one that is compact and small, and it can probably do like 1 to 2 people. And it also should have a space blanket in it, or emergency space blanket, or reflector blanket. There's different names for it in that. And the reason why that's important to have that in your first aid kit is if something goes wrong. Say, for example, when I was stuck on Table Mountain and it was really cold, the space blanket reflects the body heat back onto you. And so it's nice, lightweight and thin.
But okay, it's lightweight because that's what I wanted to know. I mean, I don't want to carry anything heavy around with me, or make it even worse or more difficult. How heavy is this first aid kit?
Well, this first aid kit is extremely light. I mean, literally, you can hold it in your hand. It's not heavy duty or anything like that.
It's tiny. Okay.
Yeah, it's super tiny. It's just got a couple of bandages in it, plasters, antiseptic, the space blanket, and that space blanket measures 2 meters by 1 meter. And that's essential as well because it's not just there to keep you warm, but it's also there to signal if you are lost. It's reflective. If the sun's there, you can, reflect yourself at it, or the light from it. It's got forceps. If you get any tweezers or you get any splinters or stuff stuck in you, you need to take it out. Bandages also to bandage you up if you've got any wounds that are, need drastic pressure applied to them if you're bleeding a lot. Also gloves, very, very important. So, yeah.
What are the gloves for?
Gloves are there to protect yourself. If you are bandaging up someone else, so you don't get anything on your hands, protect you. And also to keep the wound clean, so you're not giving any contaminants into the wound and stuff. Very, very important, yeah. And I would recommend the 360 degrees hike and climb first aid kit. I found it's got everything in that you needed for hiking, especially if you're like 1 to 2 people in a small group. It sorts you out very quickly.
Awesome. So Chanel told us a bit earlier about her not having the correct shoes on with her with her walk up
that
the mountain.
Was a mountain, Kyle.
It was
I'm sorry.
a mountain, fine. I think I'm feeling insecure about my long walk at Kirstenbosch.
But Tim was shaking his head. He was like, oh my goodness, you need the right shoes.
Well, technically, Lion's Head's a hill. Anything under...
It's not a hill.
There we go. It's okay. We walked a hill. We're still adventurous.
Fine. He's the expert. Okay.
As far as I know, technically anything under a kilometer is a hill. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that like 10?
No, not at all. Feels like it, but no.
Okay. Clear beginner, yeah, okay.
So seeing as we're not over the hill yet, it's important to have the correct boots. So would you speak to that? And if you have a favorite, maybe throw a suggestion my side.
Sure, yeah. Footwear is, everybody's different. Everybody's got different feet, different sizes and different arches. And it's one of the things you really have to research on what is going to be the right fit for you. There's such a wide variety out there. I personally recommend you start off with a boot. It's good for extra strength for your ankles, especially for beginners. And if you're carrying weights or a weighted bag, 13 kilograms and you're doing a heavy hike, I recommend the boots. And like my favorites is the Merrells. That's the brand Merrell. Yes. And I like the Erie Mid. It's quite a nice, versatile, lightweight boot. It's waterproof as well, seam sealed, and very, very rugged boot. Strong laces, and you can do different lacing techniques on that as well. And yeah, it comes in half sizes, which is what I find a lot of South Africans actually need, just that extra width in that.
Yeah, definitely.
And it looks fantastic as well, just the overall shoe. It looks so modern. Like you can wear it with jeans and people won't know that it's a hiking boot. And that's like one of the biggest sellers, surprisingly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So every outdoor warehouse branch has a footwear specialist that can help you out in making your decision. I mean, it's important to get that boot on and make sure you're comfortable with it.
That's great, actually.
It is great.
Carl, so I told my story about the gym shoe that I, went up.
Yeah, the sneaker.
The mountain. And so after that, I thought, okay, no, I need the correct shoe. And I just went in and looked for the nice, colorful one and just took the nicest one and didn't ask for any advice. And it's so uncomfortable. So, I mean, I want to ask you what, if you don't want to go for the boot, for instance, what other options are there?
Other options would be a trail walking shoe. Something that has got fantastic grip and traction, something that's more armored as well to protect your foot if it slides into the rocks or anything like that. The reason why you want something that, if you look underneath the shoe, it looks kind of like a rugby boot, but with a lot more spread out traction and grip, or
Okay.
lugs is what they call them.
Lugs.
Lugs, yes.
Okay.
That's the grip underneath there. Because if you have a smooth traction, say like a gym shoe, you're just going to slide everywhere on a mountain. Where the bigger the lugs and more spread out they are on a hiking shoe, if it's low cut or high cut or if it's a boot, that's going to stop you from sliding on anything. You can climb on rocks, you can climb up the mountain, you can go down, and you have brakes as well. It's all built into there on helping you stay grounded.
Okay, wonderful.
So, Tim, you're obviously very passionate about hiking and you've got a lot of experience. Do you have a dream hiking destination?
Yes, dream hiking destination is I like forests, and I would love to do more hikes in the garden routes and Tsitsikamma area, because you've got the coastal side and then you've got the forests, and I just think it's a wonderful place to go, and there's lots of hikes there. The Otter Trail is one of the most famous ones there, and that's on my list for hopefully in the next 2 years maybe.
All right.
So I'm going to start working towards that one now.
Any international aspirations for you?
International, no. Currently, I don't really have anything international planned. There's lots that I've seen overseas in Europe, the alpine walks and that. But those are very, very intense hikes, and I don't think I'm right or there yet.
Okay.
terms
Just a
of
bit
hiking.
more experience. Well, not experience, you've got it. Just a bit more training,
Yes.
preparation.
Yes.
I think that's been the big theme for our chat today. Make sure you're prepared for your hike. Get everything you need. You can get it at Outdoor Warehouse. Outdoorwarehouse.co.za is a great place to go have a look at the products that are on offer. And
I like that they have the specialist advice right
Exactly.
there. And you can
Yes.
ask your questions without feeling embarrassed.
exactly, you can do that. And it's such a rewarding experience. Is that what brought you to wanting to be a hiking specialist or wanting to be outdoors? Is there a connection with nature? Is it something that maybe cleanses your soul a bit? What is it about it?
I would definitely say it depends on who I'm hiking with, but I love being outside in nature. I find, a great sense of calmness and tranquility. Being out there, I can just stop and I can just watch the view and see what is happening. You can watch people, you can watch, animals that are going over, lizards and birds. And you just, you're in this zone that is just so peaceful.
And we're not meant to go out into nature. We're meant to live in nature. So I think it's so important to just make that a part of your life.
Yes, no, I love it.
Fantastic. We appreciate you coming through to the studio. I think we learned a lot and we'll definitely be prepared for the next hike. Chanel knows she's not taking the sneakers up the mountain again, and I'll find an actual hiking trail and I'll plan for the trip back as well.
Thanks very much for chatting to us, Tim.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you guys on the trails soon.
What a fun episode today. We had Tim Mostert on the show, gave us a lot of valuable information about hiking. And next episode, we're going to delve even deeper into the hiking topic.
And it's needed, Carl. I think we've got a lot to learn.
Definitely.
Okay, so next time we've got Yannick Arlight. He's a photographer. You need to see his work. It's amazing. Now, obviously, he spends a lot of time outdoors, so you can just imagine the kinds of stories that he can tell us. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
If you have any questions about the topics we discussed today, maybe something for Tim, Outdoor Warehouse Facebook and Instagram, send a message and we would love to answer those questions. And follow our podcast For Every Adventure on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, proudly brought to you by Outdoor Warehouse. Until next time.
Cheers.
Join the For Every Adventure podcast as we explore the great outdoors.